You might be saved, you might be reborn, you might own a car with a big loud horn. Might be the news on your television, or it might be God trying to get your attention. Are you an engineer or working on a farm, or a Casanova with a whole lot of charm? You might be a mouse that's living in your kitchen, or it might be God trying to get your attention. But it might be in the church house, or it might be on the street. One way or another, every soul has got to meet. Well, it might be in the city, might be in the town. One way or another, you got to find that higher ground. You might be deaf, you might be blind. She'll put the message right in your mind. It might look like a plan or a coalition, or it might be God trying to get your attention. Yeah, you might be deaf, you might be dumb, but you'll get the message when the answer comes. It might be the news on your television, or it might be God trying to get your attention. It might just be God trying to get your attention.
Teresa James, everyone, let's give her some love. God is Teresa James trying to get your attention. So those of you joining us at home on the Love Stream, welcome. This is the Center for Spiritual Living. We're coming to you live from the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills, California. We're located in the North San Fernando Valley, a faith community where we welcome all who practice their beliefs in faith and love. So welcome. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button so we can get to 800 subscribers. Well, we're still a ways away, but anyway, we need you. We need you to need us. All right, so, and our presider today is the wonderful Andrea Recht. Let's get Andrea up here. So welcome to all of you as we batten down the hatches in the back and take a deep breath and release. And in that release, just allow ourselves to fall into this moment, this eternal now moment, as we come together for our call to service, which we call Lighting the Flames of Faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. Now, fundamental to this truth is a unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this morning. So as Andrea lights the first candle, it's for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. Was that a giddy up there? Oh, okay. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. The eighth candle we light for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And the 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence in their life, for the space we hold for them here in the sanctuary, within our online community, and of course, within our own hearts. And as Andrea lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal love.
There is one flame that burns in our hearts. There is one light that shines through our love. We light this flame with faith. We find this light within our own soul. There is one flame, one light within.
How grateful I am and how wonderful it is to have this opportunity in the nowness of this moment to recognize that there is just one flame. There is one life that is living and breathing and having its very beingness as all life, as life itself. How grateful I am to know that this presence is not something out there. It is not something that is any distance from me. It is the very breath that I am breathing. It is the in-breath and the out-breath and everything in between. It is all that there is. It is omnipresent. It is all-knowing, omniscient. It is all-powerful, omnipotent. And it is expressing as my life and the life of each and every one here and each and every one there and each and every one everywhere. Here, there, and everywhere. And it is in this place of unification, in this consciousness of oneness, that I knowingly bless this morning's service, claiming and accepting and declaring and proclaiming and announcing that it unfolds in perfect order, that the words we hear this morning lift us into a new awareness of being. They lift us into a new way of understanding who and what we really are. I bless Reverend Mike as he comes forward and allows the word of infinite intelligence to speak through and as him. So I know that this service is a divine idea in the mind of infinite intelligence, and it is good and very good. And for this, I remain thankful and grateful as I just lovingly release this word to law, which always and only says yes. It is so, and it is done. And in agreement, we simply affirm this together by saying, and so it is. It is so. Good morning. I love it here. Oh, my name is Andrea Recht, by the way. I'm a practitioner here, and I've been here in this particular community for 14 years now. And I'll never forget the first night I wandered in here. It was a Wednesday night, and I haven't left. And I haven't left because of you all. And I love that we enjoy speaking to each other so much that Reverend Mike has to ring the bell to bring you all in for service. Like, come on, time for church. So I was thinking this morning about mortality and immortality in light of the passing of Diane Keaton.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So she was 79. And I'm 73. And I thought, Years young. Yeah, 73 years young. And TikTok, you know. But it caused me to pause and reflect on this journey of life, this journey of loving, this journey of aging. She was, a very independent, free-thinking woman who wore men's clothing and that iconic hat and the big sunglasses, kind of a fashion icon. And she just seemed to be refusing to, what's the word? Conform, I guess. She never got married, but she adopted 2 kids in her 50s. She said once that aging is a way of knowing yourself better. I thought that was such a great way to look at it, because it's true for me. As I get older, I know myself better, and I see things differently. And she spoke once about, I read it somewhere, about looking at a sycamore tree and being in awe of it and wondering why she never saw it that way before. And that is part of the gift of aging, and it's a privilege to age, because what's the other side of that? When we don't get to grow up and glow up, because as we grow up, we glow up. Sometimes we have to throw up old ideas, In The Science of Mind teaching, somewhere, Ernest Holmes says that we are not bodies, but we have bodies. We are not minds, but we have minds. We are pure spirit, eternal and complete in the here and now. Eternal and complete. It's comforting to think that right here and right now, I'm perfect, whole, and complete. When for decades I thought there was something wrong with me. Why don't I act like other people? Why don't I think like other people? Why do I always feel less than? And then I'm allowed to come into a teaching like this and discover my wholeness. What a gift that is. So age is a measurement of the body in time, but our true self is ageless, limitless, and deathless. And the changing body, the silver, I don't want to call it gray hair because that sounds old. It's silver. The silver hair and the wrinkles and the, sometimes my grandson, who's 5, y'all have seen him here a bunch of times, sometimes he'll, we'll be touching and cuddling, and he'll say, Nona, why are you so fluffy? What a sweetheart. I want to kill him. Why are you so fluffy? And, well, that's kind of nice, right? But, the gray hair and the wrinkles and the maybe fluffy body is evidence of a life well lived and markings of experience. I earn these lines, y'all. You know, and it's okay. So again, from The Science of Mind and Ernest Holmes, death is not the end of life, but a continuation of it, a change in form and experience. No soul dies, form shifts, and life continues. And we can choose how we age, and we can choose how we live, and we can choose how we die. Thank you.
Midwest morning, October snowfall. She packed her Chevrolet. She pushed the fear away. She's got great big dreams and a history of playing small. Everybody seemed to think she'd be back before Christmas Day. She hit that highway with every ounce of faith she could summon. When courage finally comes, you never see it coming. It's right out of nowhere. You open your heart, and that changes everything. 'Cause you're going somewhere. And all you need to know is that you're free to go. Summer night, the soft smell of seashore. All the deadheads are dancing out on the beach. He's got a 10-year tan and his own little junk store. He says, some people got a lot to prove, and that's the way I used to be. But now I'm just an old hippie with a half a dozen PhDs. Some choices hold you down, and some chances set you free. And right out of nowhere, you open your heart, let go of everything, 'cause you're going somewhere. And all you need to know is that you're free to go. Dream, and the way will be clear. Pray, and the angels will hear. Leap, and the net will appear. Right out of nowhere, you open your heart, believe in everything. You're going somewhere, and all you need to know is that you're free. Right out of nowhere, you open your heart, believe in everything, 'cause you're going somewhere. All you need to know is that you're free to go. You're free.
have mercy. How do you always have the perfect song? How does that work?
This song has been on my mind all week, and I
Oh,
thought, well, then that's what I'm doing.
That was lovely. Thank you, Teresa James. Wow. Woo. Perfect song. So, announcements. Practitioners are available today for you to pray with and anchor something more deeply, release something more completely. If you're a licensed practitioner, please raise your hand, look around the room, see if there's somebody you want to sit with and pray. Make my day, ask me to pray. Next Wednesday, October 15th at 7 o'clock, Wayne will be blessing us with his Tibetan bowls, singing bowls, and that will be our meditation for, is that this Wednesday? Yeah, the 15th at 7 o'clock. October 18th is the street fair, the Granada Hill Street Fair. It's also No King's Day, by the way. So if you want to sign up to sit in the booth, oops, sorry, yeah, whoop, and tell people about our center, that would be great. There's a sign-up sheet in Sparks Hall, and you can volunteer at our booth. Sunday, October 19th, after the second service, we are having a potluck. So street fair the 18th, the 19th, potluck after second service. So please sign up and bring your favorite dish. The Harvest Festival this year is scheduled for November 8th at 6 o'clock. Dinner and dancing here in the sanctuary, and we'd love for you to sign up for that and help out with whoever's in charge of that. I think it's going to be, anyway, we'll talk about that another time, but put it in your calendars for November 8th. And let's see, Barbara is going to bring up our gratitude box and let you know what somebody wrote down on the piece of paper and put in the box what they're grateful for.
Okay, I'm moving slow today. Okay, so here's our gratitude box. Please put some in if you have a chance. So Marlena picked it this morning, and it says, "I'm grateful for this church."
Yes, so am I.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, so we're going to do our declaration of principles now. If you're able to and you care to, please stand up and let's recite these together. This is what we believe. We believe in one universal spirit, manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe that the universal spirit is personal to and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes its presence. We believe that our faith operates upon a law of mind which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. We believe in the unity of all life and in the immortality of the individual soul forever expanding. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the givingness of life to all.
Y'all sing with me now. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
All right. So let's give Teresa James a little more love, shall we? And Andrea, thank you for your message this morning. So it won't be music and dancing this year. It'll be music and desserts and hors d'oeuvres. So it's going to be good value this year. It's only $45 to attend, so it's $20 less than the last few that we've had. So a little different program, but excellent. And so I hope you will join us and come have a good time. So lots of time to mix and get to know folks, but also an excellent musical lineup as well. So the other thing that I wanted to say, I wanted to point out that we have a couple practitioners in the front here. So Tatiana, can you stand for a moment? Tatiana has actually transferred her license here, so if you can just wave to everybody. And then almost Reverend Myrna, if you could stand. So she's visiting from Pleasant Valley, and we're going to be kind of co-creating a little something. Well, she's doing most of the work. I'm just kind of encouraging her to share it over here. So on the 18th, she has an online or in-person healing circle that she's doing, and there's some flyers up there if that's something that interests you. So that'll be done in Pleasant Valley, but you can, so if you want to go over to the Camarillo area for the day, you can do that. After you come to the street fair, of course. And yes, it is No King's Day, but not for the reason you might think. It's actually just a reminder for me to know that I'm not the king around here. I'm here to serve, not to rule, even though sometimes I don't act like it. So, all right. So, but when I remember to glow up, then things are a lot easier. So that is our theme, and today the Holy Land is everywhere. So, which is easy to see and to acknowledge when we embrace the idea that everything is holy now. So that was a great song to kick us off with. So this message of glowing up, it's a theme for October, and how it ties in today with this idea that the Holy Land is everywhere is we're going to be talking about how tomorrow is known both as Columbus Day, acknowledging the day that the year or the mythology, maybe even how Columbus discovered America. I mean, really Amerigo Vespucci, but but we're going to go with, Columbus because it's easier. And then, which actually was because a geographer, a cartographer thought that he got there first. So sometimes you just can't get a break, man. So, but maybe it's better that we're not Vespucci land or something like that. So anyway, it's acknowledging Columbus's discovery of America and also Indigenous Peoples Day, which is something that we as a nation have been embracing in an informal way for some time, and now acknowledging it. So it's not a federal holiday yet, but it does have a lot of distinction. And so it was Reverend K.C. Taylor wanted to fold this in today, and we'll explore as to why that is. So it's a recognition of First Peoples or Indigenous Peoples Day, and also Columbus Day. And so, like many things these days, of course, you can choose your favorite resentments about such things to chew on while we do the message today, or you can take this as an opportunity to celebrate both and make it a both-and situation. Now, Ernest Holmes, why this is important is, Ernest Holmes contemplated and shared his connection with the divine through the natural environment. He spent, he had the years, he set this tradition of going to the Asilomar Conference Center in Pacific Grove. Here he clearly connected with the natural environs around there. And he lived in Venice, so I'm sure he was down at the beach the whole time. So, he spoke a lot about this, the Hindu idea of how we are like a drop of ocean in the vast consciousness of the eternal. That all that the eternal has in its eternality, we have as an individualized expression. Now, this is a pretty dramatic diversion from traditional Western ways of thinking about spirituality. And he was one of the first to do this after the transcendentalists and so forth. But he is one who, in the turn of the last century, after Mary Baker Eddy and Hopkins, Emma Curtis Hopkins, whom he was a student of, kind of created this synthesis of East meets West, of how to have an experience of the divine that transcended more traditional ways of experiencing it, however we knew that to be. So he wrote in the textbook that the combined intelligence of humanity could not create the life of a plant, yet the intelligence in the creative soil of the earth will produce as many of us as we ask when we plant the seed of that which we wish to have created. So Holmes, and speaking in the natural way, of course, was speaking of how we can plant a field of wheat, of corn, what have you, but that seed, that corn, whether it's corn or carrots, can only produce that which is planted. And so he uses a lot as a metaphor of how we plant seed thoughts into the law of life, the law of cause and effect, in which our thought impresses itself upon the universal thought of the divine, that knows only to say yes to that which is implanted within it. And he spoke to this on a weekly basis in many different ways, and with a vast command of thinkers from Plotinus to Troward to Vedic teachings, the Bhagavad Gita, his own writings. So he drew on everything. So his big deal was that he would say, we take our good where we find it, which is why we've made time for this opening ritual to the major faith traditions, right? That each has light within it, each has legitimacy, and that by allowing ourselves to be open at the top to these various teachings, we can find inspiration that we can then cultivate and utilize to have a more expansive, abundant, prosperous, peaceful, harmonious, loving expression of life, so that we too can experience life and experience it more abundantly. So for Holmes, there is an undeniable connection to nature, and both as inspiration and as a metaphor. And it was and is still, in many ways, a strong distinction from traditional ways of thinking when it comes to spirituality or religion, if you will. But, how did he get there? How did he get there? So when we consider this idea that, Columbus Day and First Peoples Day, the one thing that we can't deny is that there was an undeniable shift in the trajectory of humanity with the discovery of the New World. Now, in many ways, it severely impacted the peoples already living here, their culture, their way of life, their life, and at the same time, also an expansion and even a slow evolution of the old world. and with it, the European experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So there was exploitation of the new peoples who were here, but, with the discovery of silver, it helped, enrich the nobility in Europe, which eventually led to the Renaissance, and then from the Renaissance to the Enlightenment era. That doesn't make it right, but it is an explanation of how there is this continuum of consciousness that continues to be evolved. The lesson there is no matter how dark it appears to be at any particular time in history, that the trajectory is always to higher planes of experience, higher planes of awareness. And so this is important for us to remember. No, regardless of whatever it is, that whatever old thinking is whatever the shadow aspect of life is darkening our doorway, shall we say, that to keep things into context, which is why I like looking back at historical things. But it's pretty amazing if you stop to think about it and put things in perspective, right? So there were a first peoples in Europe, and we are that. That's part of, unless we are of Spanish origin, Spanish Indian origin here in California, of course, there's a lot of evidence of that. But for those of us who are from a European background, we are those indigenous peoples. We have the Neanderthal bloodline within us. I just think it's kind of amazing to think back. So we're talking about 1492, but so for some time, people had to figure out how to build a boat big enough to sail across an ocean. So we've all heard the story of Columbus discovered America in 1492. Very good, you get a gold star. And that they had the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, of course. And then we have this image that there are these beautiful sailing boats, maybe even a cruise ship. But it wasn't nothing like that. These boats were like smaller than this room. And you were wet and you were cold and it was dangerous. And you did not know where you were going. All you had was a compass, which could get you this way, but you had no idea where you were north and south. That wouldn't come for a couple hundred years, longitude. In fact, we had to create a clock first, an accurate clock to figure it out. So to me, that's pretty amazing. So, and Columbus stumbled across. Right? They knew that there had to be something there, but where were they trying to get? To India, which is where there was money to be made. So there's always money to be made here, right? And but it was only 6 years later that India was discovered, another 15 years before China, and the Japans were discovered soon after that. And when they got there, lo and behold, there were people there already. So from a religious science perspective, when I look back on that, I contemplate and wonder about the expansion of consciousness. And in fact, today, when we look back on that segment of time, it's called the age of discovery. Because we're just learning loads of new stuff with very primitive, not primitive in that day, but from where we stand today. And yet these places they were discovering were thousands of years older than the cultures from which they came, right? So in Vedic philosophy and Indian philosophy, it was no big deal to think of nothingness, to think of universality, whatever that is. That's a cool ringtone, whatever that is. So but to think about the, zero, for instance, right? So they had a sense of universal that we did not have, we as Europeans did not yet have. That when they made it to China, China was like 2,000 or 3,000 years of recorded history older than the European variety. They discovered gunpowder already. Of course, it took Europeans to figure out how to make it into a cannon, I guess. But you know, they did all the things that you could do with gunpowder. So there's an openness, an expansion of being open at the top, even as they're working within a consciousness that it has kept them held bound, right? Because, for instance, everyone thought the world was flat until it wasn't. That the earth was the center of the universe until it wasn't. That there were all these ways of thinking, even in the religious thought, that really had to be either set aside or discounted in order to make these big leaps. Because they felt they had discovered all there was to discover. Now, no less amazing, if you think about it, no less amazing about how the peoples of India and China is no less amazing in discovering, sailing and discovering and finding these places, is the notion that over tens of thousands of years, humans walked and discovered and settled these new lands. So even though it seemed like we were discovering foreigners, we were really discovering common ancestors that went back all the way to Africa, is what we know now. And they walked. And eventually made their way to the New World. And even those dates have been pushed back. So the first discovery of the New World's pushed back perhaps as much as 25,000 years ago. Now they're thinking they skipped with boats to make it down as far as British Columbia, right? And then we all heard the stories when we were kids about the land bridge, right? So that was like 10,000 years ago, and they cross the frozen Bering Sea, and they get to Alaska, and they go, oh, it's too cold here, so let's keep going south. And they eventually populate the whole place, including all the way down to the tip that we call Tierra del Fuego. I mean, that's even kind of more of an amazing thing than this sailing around the world deal. Because in both aspects, you're going from the known to the unknown. That there's something within the human psyche, right, that pushes us and maybe even calls us into going into those unexplored places. Now, why is this important? Because for those of us in the modern world, that call may be for new experiences. Like if you want to take a cruise down to Antarctica or some, thing. But really to explore those undiscovered places within ourselves that hold the energy, hold the energetic, hold the creativity, hold the power for us to step into a greater expression of life. And that can happen right where you are, like right now. That this is, the Holy Land, where you're sitting, the space you occupy. So 10,000, maybe they walked across a thing, or maybe they canoed from China. They walked all the way down. They found stone tools now in Mexico City, dating back 20,000 years. So if it took 20 to 25,000 years, the one thing that you can definitely say about that is given enough time, men can figure out almost anything. That's okay, you can laugh at that. Yeah, boy, this didn't land any better in the first service either. But I'm so attached to the jokes, okay. But what was the driver behind all this? What was the unifying thought that kept these bands of people together? Right? So imagine, you're nice and cozy where you're at, and somebody says, hey, let's go over the next ridge and see what's over there. What was it? Was there anything going on then that's still going on today? It's been pointed out that the brain sizes between those early humans and ourselves are essentially the same, implying that the intelligence capacity is equal then as now. They just knew different stuff. So the same capacity. What that means is, this is where we get the concept that it's so easy a caveman could do it. All right. I got to get a new writer. Okay. Seriously, the same capacity, less knowledge. Or more accurately, knowledge is some different stuff. So where an early man may be able to survive in the modern world, the modern man would most certainly perish in the world of early man. And certainly the Brits who first colonized the eastern seaboard, they would not have survived without help of First Nation peoples, for sure. So one thing uniting peoples then as now is something greater than we are alone. A sense of connection with the divine, call it what you will. The main difference being that the New World humans had spiritual beliefs as opposed to the European or even Asian understanding that was very much tied to the land, a belief that there was a direct connection with the divine through the land and what the land provided. In the journey of thousands of years, many First Nation peoples were still living a truth that the so-called modern humans had forgotten or fallen away from. This now, why was this so? Well, they had a book, the Hebrew Bible, that told them, let us make man in our image and let them have dominion over the fish and the sea and over every other living thing that moves on the earth. So this was a driving thought, a consciousness, so deeply embedded that the modern human, that land then becomes a resource to be exploited or to be capitalized. And even when for the most part in early America, the land was converted to farming, so there's still a tie to the land per se. But not as stewards, where the land is maintained, but rather a wilderness to be tamed, to take the wildness out of the land and out of the people who lived it. There was a call to convert and to civilize First Nation people, teaching them about owning things, about proper clothing, Christianity, to cover up and to pray. Now, these settlers could not know at the time how vast the country actually was. There's no way they could know that there were systems of government that had been established in the New World 1,000 years before their arrival, maybe even later. So they've discovered like these mounds in Mississippi that they're saying are 10, 15,000 years old. So pagan, yes, but still a reverence for that, something greater than we are alone. And this was a shared value of both peoples. So in time, as people move from settlers to colonizers to members of the United States to a new national identity, some new Americans found inspiration as they rediscovered connection to the natural world. Emerson, Wordsworth, Thoreau, Alcott, Browning, Muir, and others giving voice to the notion that the divine is present in all things. And to connect with nature is to connect with the Most High. To connect with nature is to connect with the innermost indwelling self, that there is a resonance that happens there, that the wild places hold the experiences of expression that are not available in the so-called ordinary life. We have to work at it a little bit more. But there we find balance and harmony, eternal in its beauty and in its soul. So what this means for religious scientists then is to work at keeping ourselves open at the top, to really glean this idea that we take our good where we find it. So, we do light a candle for shamanic traditions, that there has been in this modern era a reconnection and maybe even a recognition of the validity of such things. So I'm thinking also in Europe, there's a whole Wiccan movement that has its ties to Celtic traditions that were tied very much to connection with the land. And why we don't know more about this is because those cultures sadly did not survive. But some do have creation stories. So the Cherokee have a whole beautiful creation story. That the lamb was created from a water beetle, right? So it skimmed along around the top, and then it dove down to the bottom and scooped up some mud and created land. And there's a whole other thing. It's very developed. A little more creative than the Garden of Eden, I might add. But the garden is a great metaphor for us to remember that when we bite of the fruit of the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, what we're really doing is buying into the notion of that there's something, a separate experience, that you and I are the other. And this separation has fueled much of the discord in life. And if you really were to break it down, probably all of the discord in life. So we have, so we have in front of us an opportunity then to consider this idea that the natural environment is a portal to having a deeper experience of higher power, as you understand that to be. That our experiences with each other, right? So if it's true that where you sit is the Holy Land, if it's true for you, then it's true for all. Now, this can be challenging, humans being who they are. But, a caveman did it, and so can we. When we open our mind to make a choice, to open our heart to that transcendent aspect of life, love and expression, that which is vast and intimate, uniquely individualized as me and everyone else too. Take this notion into the rest of your day today. Consider the ways in which we can express more of the divine in this day. Take that into our work life this week and see what changes. And come back next week, see what's different.
When I was a girl in school, Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the preacher, and he would read the holy word, consecrate the holy bread. Everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen still, but now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything is holy now. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. And so the challenging things becomes not to look for miracles, seeing where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. Now I gotta hold my breath. I'm swimming in a sea of it. Used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Questioning child's face and say it's not a testament. That would be hard to say. And see another new morning come, tell me it's not a sacrament. Say it can't be done. This morning outside I stood and I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head, 'cause I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. 'Cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. I said everything is holy now.
James, everyone, let's give her some love. Love in the chat. Come on up, Chloe. Yes, so thank you for that. And Thank you, dear. So if you've come prepared for a gift in person today, just make your way as we sing our offering song together. For those of you joining us online, just make yourself way to the donate button. Thank you.
Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me, Spirit gives through us, Spirit receives through us, Spirit lives and breathes through us. Oh, Spirit lives and breathes through us.
So going within for just a moment longer as we recognize that this basket represents both the giving heart of the individual, the receptive heart of this spiritual community. The generous heart of the individual who knows and knows that they know that God is our source, our substance, our supply. And so by whatever avenue your generosity finds its way here, through the offering this morning, through your online giving, through the mail, that as spiritual community now we accept these gifts with deep love and respect, as we know together they go forth to heal, to prosper, to bless not only the vision and mission of this center, but anyone connected to it in any way. And from this place of gratitude, we extend a blessing upon our community of Granada Hills, our city of Los Angeles, our state of California, our United States of America, all of its churches, temples, mosques, schools, universities, the people who attend them, the people who support them, that we know, for our planet as well. A deep and conscious connection with the expression of the divine that shows itself in ways great and small. And in this way, we are lifted, shifted, lifted, empowered by a sense of grace that propel us into ways of spiritual living that raise not only our own lives, but the lives of those around us as well. And for this, we are truly grateful. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. Amen. So one more round of love for Teresa James. And let's save some for Andrea as well. Nicely done. And give yourself some love while you're at it. You made it into church today. What do you know?
Okay, so one more time, let's turn within for a moment and join me in consciousness as together, as this united field of consciousness, we recognize one power, one presence, one eternal life that is forever and ever expressing itself as the entire manifest universe. How grateful I am in this moment to know that it is expressing as my life, and that we as a community have answered the call to venture into those unknown places of ourselves and discover there that infinite spirit is the truth of our being, and that where we sit is the holy land, because everything is holy now in this moment. And for this, I remain thankful and grateful as we leave here lifted and shifted into a new way of being by virtue of this service. Blessing each of us as we travel on to our next destination, knowing that we do so in love, in joy, in peace, and in safety. And for this and so much more than I can even begin to describe, I remain thankful and grateful as I lovingly release this word to law, which has already answered this prayer with a resounding yes. I know it is done. I know it is so. And in agreement, we affirm this truth by saying together, and so it is. Amen.
If you'd like to join in a circle, Sing the peace song. Please sing with me. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin.